it on here so that it's there also on Instagram. And let me make sure that it's focused. Do not disturb. And let me make sure that it's focused. Okay. Reels live. Next. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. Oxygen for the Soul. I want to thank you for being here today. We have Parshat Vayetze. There's so much to uncover in this week's Parsha. I just want to get this in here. I just want you to be mindful that the Torah itself is written in a way which is meant to challenge us. It's not just a storybook. It's a book that is designed to give you the most amount of bang for your buck. Every word, every sentence has meaning to it. There's so much here to unearth. We will try to do my best today. I have a couple of ideas that I think are meaningful. I try to go through the parasha and find what I think are the most interesting tidbits for inspiration for my audience. So it says like this: Vayetze Yaakov miBeersheva. Yaakov is leaving his house. Let's just recap very quickly. He is on the run. His brother Esav wants him dead for stealing his brachot, for being the guy that's always been a step ahead of him. He wants to kill him. He knows he can't do it when his dad is around, so he flees. And he knows that his life is not safe where he is. And he ends up bumping into this place. V'yipagab makom. He ends up bumping into this place. V'yelen shem. And he ends up sleeping there. He's just exhausted from running. Can you imagine running for like 3 days, 4 days? He doesn't sleep. He's tired. He's finally broken down. He just wants some rest. And he goes to sleep, and it says, Ki ba shemesh, the sun is setting. V'yikach me'avnei hamakom. And he takes stones that are scattered around, and he places it underneath his head, and he gets up in that morning. Now, we know that the actions of the fathers are a sign for the children, and therefore over here, Yaakov understands that he's tired, he's exhausted, and the sun is setting on him. And in the same way that the sun will set on him, it will set on his children. So what does he do? He gathers these 12 stones and he puts them around his head. Rashi says he's doing this because he's concerned about his safety. Now, I don't know about you. I've gone camping before, and I know that when you're camping outdoors and you're trying to protect yourself, putting 12 stones around your head is not going to be enough to hold back the hungry wolves or the wild bears. So why is this the work that he's doing? How is putting 12 stones around his head going to protect him from the evils that surround the night? And I think the simple answer is that it's called hishtadlut. I'm not in control of the results. I'm only in control of the effort that I put in. And therefore, yes, he had nothing. We'll find out later that he was robbed. He had zero money. He was completely empty-handed. The guy had nothing. His nephew came to kill him, and instead he robs him. He has no place to there's no lodging. He has no money. There's no hotels. There's no credit. There's nothing for the guy. He's completely alone. Now, when you have a scenario like this, where you have this genius of an individual, he understands that all he has is his hishtadlut. All he has is the effort that he has, and the rest up to God. So what does he do? He ends up saying, hey, Hashem, I'm not in control over here. These are the 12 stones. This is my hishtadlut. On one level, he's teaching us to do the effort that we need to get the protection that we want. You think that your homes protect you and that the health insurance will cover you, and that's the minimum hishtadlut we need to do. But be mindful that ultimately it's from the Almighty. And therefore, even someone who's lost in a forest, who does not have access to shelter, he has to remember that as long as he's putting in his effort, the 12 stones, then that will be enough for God to give him the protection. God needs to know that you have skin in the game. On a more spiritual level, we know that he has this dream. And he falls asleep. And there's a ladder that starts in the ground. This ladder is tethered to the earth, and it goes so high up that it's just endless. Remember, if this is a metaphor for the future, then what is he seeing over here? He's seeing a pattern of time, right? And there's angels going up and down, up and down. And God approaches him. Okay, and he says to him, don't worry. I am Elokei Abraham, Avicha Elokei Yitzchak, Haaretz asher ata shochev aleya etnena lazarecha. Be mindful that for some reason, God is to come and reassure him over here and give him these blessings. And the Chachamim tell us that when Yaakov sees this sulam, this ladder, and he sees these malachim going up and down, he's terrified because he sees this as being a glimpse into the future, that my children were going to be exiled and they're going to they're going to have these highs and lows, and it looks like it's endless and that there's no end in sight. But God says, don't worry about it. I am Elokei Abraham, Avicha, Elokei Yitzchak. Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Haaretz asher ata. The land, I'm going to give this to you. V'hinei v'haya zarecha ka'afar haaretz. Your children are going to be like the dust of the earth. Okay, now there are three different terms that the Torah calls the Jewish people. Kochavim, the stars, right? The afar and the arza. Okay, you're going to be like the dust, like the sand, and like the stars. Now, God says, don't worry about it. Okay, your offspring, your children are going to be like the dust of the earth, and you're going to spread out and powerful. You're going to be everywhere, east, west, north, south. All the families on planet Earth are going to bless you. Okay, through your children. It's interesting, not through him, but through his children. He starts the story with him leaving. He has nothing. All he has is a stone. He takes these 12 stones, he puts them around his head, he gets protection. He sees this ladder up and down, up and down, up and down, angels flying here and there. He's terrified. Endless exiles. God says, don't worry about it. Your children are going to be like the dust. Why? Because dust can't be destroyed. The dust, when it's wet and brought together, it has form to it. The dust always ends up on top. When someone's buried at the end of their lives, the dust rises above them. And therefore, God is saying that don't worry about it, no matter how many people will trample on your children. No matter what happens to them, they will always end up on top. And I am with you. I will guard you and safeguard you in all the places that you go. And I'll bring you back to this land. I'm never going to leave you. As long as you do what I've commanded you to do, you will be protected. V'yikatz Yaakov mishinato. And Yaakov ends up waking up from his slumber. Vayomer, and he says, Achen yesh Hashem mokom hazeh. I can't believe there's a God is found in this place. En zeh ki im beit elokim zeh v'shar shamayim. This is the place. How is this possible? This is this awesome, mighty place. This is the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Right? He's blown away. How could he have missed this? And our Chachamim say that Yaakov was a super spiritual person. How does he miss the fact that he is standing on the same place that his father Yitzchak was offered as a sacrifice? How does he not know that he's standing on the Temple Mount? How does he not know that he's sitting right by the Even Shetiyah, this foundation stone that is the cause and the birth of all life on planet Earth? V'yashkem Yaakov baboker v'yikach et Even asher sam mirashotav. Now, it's interesting that he ends up waking up and he takes the Even. We said earlier, he ends up at this place, v'yikach me'avnei hamakom, plural. Over here it's singular. Chachamim say that the stone becomes one. Symbolic that even though we will be scattered in exile at some point, at the end, the Ketz, at the end of time, the Jewish people will finally coalesce and become one. Okay? He has this understanding that the way in which we overcome adversity, the way in which we overcome challenge through the exile is through unity, standing together. And if I could find a theme in this parasha, it would be just that. standing up for your family. The word Even is the stone, and then Even, the three letters Aleph, Bet, Nun, is an acronym for Av, Em, father, mother, Ben, Bat, son, daughter, and Nechadim, and grandchildren. You'll notice that when Jews end up going to the cemetery, they'll take a stone and they'll put it on top of the tombstone or on top of the burial site. Why do we do this? We do this for several reasons. One is there's a mitzvah to cover the dead, and we're doing that. Part of the covering is, we cover the dead like that, partake in the mitzvah. But another reason is to remember that every dead person has left a legacy. Every dead person is a father, mother, or a child, son, daughter. It's the chut mishulash, this three-strand rope that is super strong. It comes from leaving legacy. Legacies can only be developed when we have a strong affinity for our family. If I'm not concerned about my kids and I just don't care about them, odds are they won't really care much about me. The odds are they won't care much about the next generation either. But when you have someone like Yaakov, whose whole existence, like his father's, we read last week's Parsha Toldot, which is the Parsha about the generations. Yaakov is manifesting that idea, like his whole role, his link in this chain of tradition is to be the link that creates the Toldot. He is the Toldah. He is the source of the generations. It's from him that the 12 tribes emerge. So everything about his life is a glimpse into this story that is told about us and our families. Okay, he builds a big V'yasem oto matzeva v'yitzok shemen al rosha. He takes this, he erects a monument and he takes the shemen and this oil and then he poured on top. And everyone asks, well, where did he get this oil from? We know that he was robbed, that he had nothing. So the Midrash says that there was a jug of oil that was found underneath the rock. And this jug of oil was very special. Why? Because when he poured out the contents of the jug of oil onto the stone to anoint it, you know what happened? Magically, the jug refilled itself, right? And he saw there was something special over here. Later on in Parshat Vayishlach, when Yaakov has to go back for these for his pachim ktanim, for these small jugs, the Midrash over there says, what was he going back for? He went back for this particular special, miraculous jug of oil that refilled itself. And in the zechut of Yaakov going back for this seemingly maybe magical, not so significant, jug of oil, because he went back for them, that was the zechut, the merit of the Kohanim, the Maccabees, finding the special jug of oil in the Beit HaMikdash that helped fuel the menorah for the Hanukkah story. It comes from here. A lot of the mystics will point to these psukim over here and say, this is the zechut, this is the merit, this is the source of where that jug of oil comes from. Okay, he calls the place Bet El, the house of God, and we'll keep going. He makes a neder, and God, if you watch me, give me bread and bring me back to my house in peace, I will do everything that you said. Great. Finally, I want to move on from that topic. He goes and he ends up going to the house of Lavan, which is what he was told to do, go to the house of Betuel, go marry a girl from the house of Avram's family. He's in the field, and he sees that there are 3 aderet tzon rovtzim aleha. He sees that there are these 3 flocks of sheep that are standing around this well, which is covered by a stone. But Even Gedola al pi haver. You see again this idea of using a stone in the story. Couldn't have been a log, could have been a log, but no, it's a stone. Because remember, the story is about what? Toldot. It's about generations and how we build generations. This is the story about how we build legacies. Okay, and the story goes like this: that the shepherds of the time had this well, and they were afraid that the other shepherds would take an unfair amount of water to feed their flock, and that in order to go ahead and circumvent that, they took 4 or 5 men who pushed a boulder on top of this well to make sure that when anyone comes to the well, it would require somebody else to be there, so that to monitor the equal distribution of water for the flock. Okay, now Yaakov gets there and he sees this and says, "This is ridiculous. This is not justice. What kind of a place is this? If you live in a place where you can't trust the people around you, How does that happen? So what does he do? He lifts the rock by himself. He says, I'm Charan. Great. He says, I'm looking for Lavan. And he says, great, not a problem. But we can't, we want to go ahead and we want to give water to our tzon, to our flock, and we can't do it. So what does he do? He goes ahead and he pushes the stone by himself. Okay. What's the motivation? He sees Rachel coming, sees this beautiful woman come down, and I'm not going to say he wants to impress her, but he's definitely motivated by when he sees her. He single-handedly rolls the stone off the well. And he goes ahead and he waters the shepherd, the sheep of Lavan. Now, this is interesting because when Eliezer was going out to find a shidduch for Yitzchak, it was Rivka, the local, that was watering the sheep. And over here, it's a little bit of a turn of events where Yaakov now is in a position to kind of like return the favor to the family, so to speak, right? Return the favor. Now he is the one who's responsible for watering the sheep. Okay, so he sees Rachel, and he's so blown away by her radiant spiritual beauty, of course. Vayishek Yaakov Rachel, he gives her a kiss. I imagine it was on the hand, something more appropriate. And v'yisa et kolo v'yivach. He sees her and he cries. Rashi says, why are they crying? Because at that moment he sees that he won't be buried with her. Right? What a horrible sight that the day you meet the love of your life is the same moment where you also see her death, right? Or that person's death. And also he saw that, anyway, so he sees this, it's also tied to the Beit Mikdash. The temple will be destroyed as well. He saw these things at this moment. Everything is coming to an end because remember, everything in this parasha is not just about the story of Yaakov here in this time and place, at that time and place where Yaakov was, but it is also a glimpse into the future. Okay, so part of being in Galut is that Yaakov leaves his house and he ends up in a makom that he doesn't even recognize. He ends up in the Shar Shamayim, the Bet El, and he doesn't even know that he's standing on hallowed ground. He leaves yeshiva, he leaves the place of spirituality, and now he doesn't even recognize spirituality. What does God tell him? My friend, I'm going to show you a ladder which is tethered to the earth and to the heavens. You before were Yoshev Ohalim. You were someone who was in the tent, that your heads were in the clouds the whole time. But my friend, if you want to survive a long galut, you want to survive a long exile, how do you do it? You got to find balance. You need to find balance. If the story of Yaakov and Esav was about two twin brothers that lived a life of extremes, Yaakov, Yoshev Ohalim, Ishtam, a simple man, did not know deceit. Esav is a Tzayid Bafiv. He is the guy who knows how to manipulate. The guy is this amazing orator. He's so cool. Esav, everyone wants to be his friend, right? Yaakov, the nerd. Now, it sounds to me like they both struggle with an identity issue over here. Yaakov living in one extreme, Esav in another extreme. But Yaakov's task, we say he's Tiferet, his midah is balance. His midah is harmony. How does Yaakov bring that harmony into his life? And we know that it's through the choices that he makes. What are the choices? The choice to live a life of meaning, to live a life where he's able to contend with a Lavan, to fight back against the most manipulative trickster on planet Earth, both Esav and Lavan, and he overcomes both of them. When you know how to live with this kind of challenge, and you recognize that life is all about finding balance through the challenge, you'll overcome all the challenges. The greatest challenge, though, that he has is the loss of his wife over here. So, these psukim over here are going to be powerful. I have another 6-7 minutes of ideas I want to share with you. You're going to love this next piece. It's worth just for this. I'm going to teach you a very deep lesson today. So he sees Lavan, and he's Lavan. Lavan sees him. Oh, you're my family. Come in. And we know that the reason Lavan is so motivated is because he heard and remembered the story of Eliezer coming with all those the gold bags, the goodies of all the things that he gave to his sister. So it must be that Yaakov was coming well with wealth, but we know that Yaakov came empty-handed because Eliphaz, Esav's son, came to kill him, but instead Yaakov taught him that a poor person is like a dead person. Anyone know why that's true? Why is a dead person like a poor person is like a dead person? The Chachamim say that when you can't give to someone else, that is death. It's called the Dead Sea because the water in the Dead Sea does not feed any other body of water. Ma'im Chaim, waters that are alive, are waters that are constantly giving or flowing into other streams. To be alive means the power to give something to somebody else. When you're impoverished and you have nothing, that, my friends, is tantamount to death. So Yaakov teaches Eliphaz, take all my stuff. If I can't give anything to anyone, it's ke'ilu, like I'm dead. He sees, now Lavan has two daughters, Shem Hagdolah Leah, Veshem Haktana Rachel. One daughter is Leah, the other daughter, the older daughter is Leah, the younger daughter is Rachel. Parasha goes out of its way to tell me this. I don't know, they're both interesting. You could argue that obviously if you say the first one first, the second one second, then the first one's older, right? Parasha doesn't need to tell me that Esav was older than Yaakov, even though he came out first, and therefore we know he's older. So what does it mean that she is the Gedolah and Rachel is the Ketana? We're going to come back to that. Leah rakot, but the eyes of Leah, they are soft, tender, while Rachel hayta yafat to'ar v'yafat mareh. She was beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance. Such superficial description over here, right? Why do we need to know these things? And then it says v'yahev Yaakov et Rachel, and Yaakov liked Rachel. She was a pretty one, right? Or was it something more? Vayomer avdecha, I will work. I have no money, but I will work for that girl for 7 years. Barachel bitcha haktana. You're the younger daughter. I will work 7 years for her. And Lavan says, sure, let's do this, right? It's better. Let's do this. It's better that I give her to you than I give her to another man. Your family, right? Let's make this. She'll stay with me. She'll live here. This is every father's dream that the daughter stays, the son-in-law stays with the father, and he doesn't lose his daughters. Vayavod Yaakov Rachel Sheva Shanim. 7 years have passed in these two words, for the love for this girl that he wants to marry. Veyu be'einav keyamim achadim ba'abatota. It was like a few days for him. When you love something, when you're excited by something, time flies by. But the story has a very different twist. Let's skip a little bit. Okay, they go through the marriage, and Yaakov is v'titin Lavan at v'yomer Yaakov Lavan havad. By the years have passed. Let's get married. And he says, okay, let's go. Let's make a wedding. V'yiber v'yikach et Leah bito v'yaveh ota elav v'yavo elea. He brings Leah, and she ends up there's a switcheroonie over here for Leah and Rachel. I want to find the pasuk. V'yiten Lavan et zilpa shivchato Leah bito shivcha. V'yi b'boker v'hinei hi Leah. V'hinei hi Leah. Yaakov wakes up and he's like, who are you? He just gets married the night before. He has this amazing wedding. He's doing the horror. He's doing the dance. She's wearing her veil. Doesn't take it off. Better be very, very suspicious about bulletproof veils. And v'hinei hi Leah. Holy cow, what a shocker. And the next morning he runs, Vayomer Elavan, Ma zot asita li. What did you do to me? Halo barachel avadati imach. V'lama ramitani. Why did you fool me? Why did you do this? What kind of a father-in-law are you going to be? For me, this would have been a sign to do two things. Number one, divorce Leah immediately. Number two is, do you really want this guy as your father-in-law? What are you thinking? Like, you want back? Who cares about what you saw in Rachel? Like, run away. We don't do this in our place. So the Torah is foreshadowing a little bit about the older and the younger. We don't give the older before the younger. So he says, Maleh shuhua zot, right? Finish this week of work. Give me another 7 years, and I'll let you marry my younger daughter also. Okay, and he does this. He does another night. 14. He's committing to 14 years of work, and then he ends up marrying Rachel. Now, I want to stop here for a second, and we're going to use this as the tapestry for our conversation. I'll try to finish in the next 5 minutes. We're almost done. Hang in there. Okay, so he ends up marrying both Rachel and Leah. Now, I want you to think about this whole story in another way. Let's try to think about this in a more meaningful, more developed kind of way. There's a famous French philosopher named Jean-Paul Sartre, who famously said that hell is in other people. And what he meant was that sometimes when people look at us, they look at us from the outside. And based on what they see on the outside, the superficial parts of who we are, they judge us. They don't know who we are. They categorize us. They tell us which letters we are in the Myers-Briggs system by not even knowing us. And instead of seeing us as a subject, they see us as an object, right? They don't understand the inner world that we come from. They don't understand the depths of what we are. And that is a kind of death of hell that people bring to the world. That hell isn't the other people. The other people are always watching me, looking at me, but never really knowing who I truly am. Now, the Baal Shem Tov says something very different. He says that he says the opposite. He says that the other, the people, they're our mirror. What does he mean? He's saying that when we look at other people, they're showing us, we see their faults, we see the faults in other people, but really what they're doing is that they're showing that we possess the same fault because we recognize the faults. We do this all the time with our friends, our spouses. We see something wrong. Whoa, why are you doing that? How do you know that that thing is bad? It's very simple. It's because you see it being reflected in you on some level. And therefore, if you're recognizing something wrong in somebody else, the reason why you're able to recognize it, the Baal Shem Tov taught, is because you, my friend, are struggling with the same thing. So stop pointing fingers at somebody else. You are going through the same exact issue. Now, so when let's try to take these ideas and apply it to the parasha. Now, Yaakov fell in love with Rachel and worked for 7 years for her. We know the days flew by for her. Okay, V'hineh, and he wakes up after this wedding. V'hineh Leah, V'hineh hi Leah, and he sees it's Leah. Okay, now he got duped over here, right? Bamboozled. We know in Kabbalah that Rachel and Leah can also be understood from an allegorical perspective. That Rachel is Yafet To'ar, right? She's a beautiful form and a beautiful appearance, and Leah is Einei Rakot, okay? And therefore, the way the Mekubalim explain this is that Yaakov's marriage to Rachel and Leah symbolizes the eye of every one of us, right? Whereas Rachel and Leah represent the two faces of our spouses. So Yaakov is me, the user, and Rachel and Leah are the two spouses that every single person marries. Let me explain. So when he sees Rachel, she is the young, beautiful face of our partner. She represents the soft, innocent, naive part of the relationship, the one that's filled with love and romance. Whereas Leah, who's internal, whose face is hidden, her face is the more mature face of the relationship, the more challenging, the less attractive face, right? Hidden, but still one that we have to contend with, okay? As soon as, at some point in every single relationship, there's going to be some kind of a challenge where you're going to realize that, hey, where's the young girl, the Rachel in the relationship that I married? Where's this young person that I married with all that idealism, the soft, the beauty of appearance? Where did that go? Because now I'm contending with something called Leah, the more mature, developed aspect of the relationship. So what's our first response? Like Yaakov, he feels cheated. He says, why did you deceive me? How could you do? I didn't sign. I don't want this. The first instinct is to run away and flee, right? But if we're able to remember, Yaakov's midah was emet, right? He's someone who's searching for truth. His journey is about emet, right? And we know that Leah is also his match, also his bashert. Okay, and he ends up learning to live with her. And it turns out, in order to truly merit the Rachel, the young, beautiful form of the relationship, he has to work an additional 7 years. It's not enough in that relationship just to go ahead and get a Rachel. You start out with thinking you want a Rachel, you end up with a Leah, you work harder, okay? Even though Leah's still in the picture, right? They're both part of his reality. More than that, Leah is the source, the principle of all the brachot that Yaakov has. Leah gives him the most children. She is the mother of Levi, right? She is the father of all the priestly dynasty. She's a mother of Yehuda, the father of the kingly dynasty. It is Leah, not Rachel, who is buried next to Yaakov. In many senses, Leah, represents Yaakov's true eternal partner. This dynamic, right, was even more painful for Yaakov because Yaakov understood that Leah was supposed to marry whom? Esav. And therefore, when he wakes up in the morning, he sees Leah next to him and he says, oh my God, I married the part of my twin who represents my dark side of my soul. This is his basher. Maybe there's something wrong with me over here. But that's not what happens. Yaakov recognizes that there's this duality in every relationship, that in order to bring out that super special, beautiful, gorgeous aspect of a marriage, which represents the beauty of youth, the naivety of youth, the love, the romance, you need to put in the hard work that Leah represents in the relationship, the hard or more mature, sophisticated aspect of Leah. And when you could do this, then you could find yourself getting back after the 7 years of work, getting back to that truer love in that relationship. This is true for everyone. In every relationship, there's a struggle. The struggle is there for you to overcome. The hardships in the relationship always come from, why are you being so X? I thought you were Y. No, Yaakov understood this, and he accepts the challenge. For him, it was manifested in two women, not one, so that we could learn about this duality in every relationship. Now I want to end with the following idea. So he says, Hine hi Leah, Hine he Leah, Hine he Leah. Behold, this is Leah. Right? We know that the word Hine hi Leah is the gematria Gehenom, is hell. And therefore, the hidden, the threatening face of the other from which we want to run away from is the exact hell that if we overcome, we get to Rachel. Now, we also know that Hine hi Leah is the gematria of Gam Zulatova. This is also for the good. And if we're willing to deal with the hell that the other reflects in us, we'll discover that that is our greatest source of bracha, of shefa, of goodness. It's the gateway to our higher self. If you're able to implement these ideas into your own relationships, you'll be able to overcome the adversity in your relationship, understanding that when you're able to do that, the focus on the positive, that the challenge is uniquely there for you to overcome. When you're able to actually do that, my friends, you are zochet to the higher aspects of this relationship. And in this way, you build your toldot. If the story is about building family, there's no greater children that come from parents who have overcome the adversity in their relationship. That's where strong kids come from. That's where kids who end up changing the world come from. From where? From parents who are in love with each other, that want to give to one another, that are willing to put in the effort to understand the other, to recognize that the faults that we see in the other is really not her fault, but my fault too, because I see it. When you do this, you are blessed. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom Mevarach. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed these ideas as much as I have. It's always a pleasure seeing you all here today. Thank you so much.
Love you, Rabbi.
Love you.